Now, on this episode of A Prepper's Life. Alright, there you have it. 1.5 of these, just about half. We're going to put them in the fridge and save them for tomorrow. And maybe even tomorrow I might pick a few more of them peppers out there. It'll grow a little bit tonight maybe. But that's what it took. You want to be sure to wash and sterilize everything that you're going to use before you use it. Something else that you need to do is run your fingers around the top of these jars to make sure there's no cracks or breaks or anything that would break that seal. This water is very hot. Okay, this is basically the recipe that I'm using. See, pickled jalapeno peppers. Things you need. You need the jalapeno peppers, and however many you can get, I guess, is how many you do. You need 1 tablespoon of mustard seed per pint jar. Don't you just love that handwriting? You need 1.5 teaspoons celery seed per pint jar. A clove of garlic per pint jar. Canning salt, and we'll figure that out when we get to it. Apple cider vinegar, and we'll figure that out when we get to it. And filtered water. And a few other things that I'll point out when I start doing it. But that's your basics right there. Normally you would put the loose ingredients such as the oregano and the mustard seeds and stuff like that in each jar first, and then put in your peppers. But since I don't know how many jars it's going to take, I'm going to go ahead and put the peppers in first, and then I'll put the other stuff on top. Remember to use the gloves and to wash your hands before you start. Wash these gloves before you start. And we also want a loose pack. Okay, the idea is to use 1 glove to pick them up with, and then use the other glove to handle the jars in the funnel. And that way I don't get a bunch of pepper stuff all over this glove. That one's going to be a little less in there, but so is the next one. But that way I'll kind of even out the last 2 jars. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I've chopped up the garlic, all the garlic that I had. I'm just going to try to place kind of even amount in each jar at the top. Okay, this is pickling crisp granules, and I'm going to put a little bit of that in each jar. And I do believe that it calls for, let's see, for the pints, an 1/8 teaspoon per pint. Okay, this is a 1/2 teaspoon, so I'll just kind of do about half of it, or I mean 1/4 of it, which would make it an 1/8. I hope that math made sense. Okay, we got that squared away. Now we're going to want 1 tablespoon of mustard seed per jar. I hope I got enough. Shut up! Now we need 1.5 teaspoons of celery seeds per jar. Okay, now that I've got all of the loose stuff in the jars and we're ready for the brine, I'm going to take the jars and put them in this steamer, in this pot that has some water in it. And basically the idea there is to let the jars get warm, the stuff inside get warm, and that'll be taking place while I'm putting the brine together. Once the brine is ready, I'll pull the jars out, put the brine in, seal the lids, and put them in the canner. So we gotta get everything going kind of in a rhythm. This also helps to maintain the sterility of the jars. So this pan is just not big enough. I don't know if this one is or not, but I'm going to try it. We'll find out, I guess, won't we? That's 7.5 cups of apple cider vinegar. And then we need, let's see, 1 3/4 cups of water. I'm going to use filtered water. Not filtered ice, filtered water. Okay, so this recipe is for 6 pints. I started with 8. I screwed up and broke one of them, so now I have 7. So basically I'm just going to add a little more water to it, and then we'll go from there. Alright, we want 2.5 tablespoons of canning salt. 1, 2, about a half. Alright, perfect. Okay, I've got, so you can see it here, I've got this pot warming with the jars in it that do not have the brine in it yet. The brine is getting warmed up. I've got my water bath canner with some water about 2-3 inches on the bottom. You can see it, plus a towel. The towel is going to be used to cushion the jars. I've got it on to get warm, so that when I transfer the jars from out of here into there, they don't break. So as soon as this is hot enough, I'm going to start pulling a jar out, filling it, putting a lid on it, and putting it in there. Once they're in there, I make sure that I fill more water in that's over the top of the lids, bring it to a boil. Once it starts boiling, I'm going to start counting down 10 minutes. And that 10 minutes has to do with my elevation here, which is under 1,000 feet. After that, we'll turn it off, let it cool down, pull out the jars, and let them seal up, and we should be good to go. One thing I can tell you is I need a bigger stove. I'm barely squeezing those things on there. I pulled the brine off. I moved the jars up to where I can reach them better. This is turned on a little bit more. I got all my lids back here that have been warmed up. They're ready to go on. So now I just take this little puppy right here and pull a jar out, put brine in it, and put it in there. I'm probably going to have to do all of these before I can actually put them in there, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to fill the jars. We'll see. Actually, I'll fill the jars and put them in there, and then the last one is going to tell me if I need to add some water to it or not. And of course, take this out. And we're going to fill this, so we're going to go about 1/2 inch from the rim is where we want this. So we're going to be very careful. Plus you got to remember there's probably going to be some air pockets in there. And we'll have to pull those out as well. So I'll take it up to about, right there, gives me about 1/2 inch from the rim. Now the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to use this and make sure I squeeze the air pockets out of there like so. And then before you put anything on there, we want to wipe that rim, make sure we got everything off of it so we get a good seal when we put the lid on there. Make sure you get it good and cleaned off. Oops. Pull out a lid. Put that lid on there. And these rings are simply to make sure that this lid stays on there while it's in the canner, and then lets it seal. You don't want to squeeze it too tight, you just want to put it on there a little finger tight. Put it in the canner, and after everything's done, sealed and cooled, you can pull that lid off there and then it won't rust around inside. So time for the next one. We've got a rolling boil now, so we can start the clock at 10 minutes. 10 minutes is up. I can turn it off and let it cool. Remember, the 10 minutes is based on the elevation, which for me is under 1,000 feet. Check for your own elevation. Okay, it's cooled enough that I can start pulling these out of here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring them over here and set them down and let them cool. Looks like they've already sealed, but I'm not going to push on. You don't want to push on the lids until they've completely cooled off, because you could, I don't know, make a false seal or something like that. You don't want to do that. But this is just the beginning. I probably will have more peppers coming out of there to do more. I've got a bunch of bags of beans that I need to get canned. I also want to do a bunch of soups and so on that I can can and have around to eat. It's good to have, you know, raw, stuff that's pretty straight out of the garden or fresh, not cooked, when you make your soups and stuff like that. But it's also good to have backup, and if the grid goes down and you can't go out and buy your vegetables, at least you've got a bunch of your soups and stuff like that canned and ready to go, so you're not going to be completely out of whack. Anyway, that's what happened with this. There was 2, 4, 6, 8, and I stuck one in that was still a little too cold, and it cracked and broke the bottom out. Bad idea. That's why you try to get everything warmed up before you start doing it. Take a look at these really quick. I can't wait to see what they taste like. They're definitely going to be pickled because of the apple cider vinegar, the canning salt. Then we've got the I didn't put any dill in there, but we've got the garlic and the celery seeds and mustard seeds and some of that pickling crisp. So hopefully it keeps them crispy. That'll be good. Well, that cat just fell completely off the table. Are you all right, Tommy? Kitty, kitty. Apparently he is, or else he's dazed. Oh well, new projects going on. I hope you enjoyed this one. This cat don't like that cat right there. Hi, kitters. How you doing, kitters? Kitty, kitty, meow. All right, we have lots of peppers to pick, both jalapeno and poblano. Poblano, that's how you say it, I do believe. I got a lot of those to pick. They need to be canned. I'm going to pickle them. We might have a few tomatoes. I've already pulled a couple off that were almost ripe. I figured I'd get them off before birds get to them, get them into the windowsill, let them finish. I can see one over there that looks like it probably needs to be picked. But other than that, I don't know. Now when I go poking around inside the big mess of tomatoes and peppers over here, I might find some more. We'll just have to see. But anyways, it is time to start picking away some of these peppers and get them ready for canning.